the new government funding for schools to open a nursery. Today we're going to talk about an important opportunity for schools in the UK. The government has introduced a new funding initiative aimed at helping schools create or expand nurseries. In today's video, we'll talk about how this funding works and how it can help. But first, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel, Open Nursery with myself, Kurt Lianya, where I support you to open, run and grow your own childcare business. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe as I post lots of videos all around topic of childcare. In 2024, the government allocated £50 million under the School-Based Nursery Capital Grant. This grant provides up to £150,000 to state-funded primary schools in England to help them to create or expand existing nursery facilities. The grant is intended to assist schools that already provide early education, like a reception class, and that may have surplus space that could be used for nursery provision. This initiative is expected to support up to 300 schools in the first round and aims to create an additional 3,000 school-based nursery places across the country. This is aimed to help with the increased demand which is expected because of the new government funding rollout. So in order to support this rollout, the government will need to create a lot more nursery places and additional initiatives, especially since an estimated 85,000 additional nursery places will be needed by September 2025. So who can apply for this grant? It's important to note that this grant is not available for private nurseries, independent providers or maintained nursery schools, as it strictly applies to state-funded schools using their existing space for nursery purposes. Eligible schools are state-funded primary schools that already provide some form of early education like a reception class. These schools must have surplus space in their current building and the project should be aimed to be operational within the 2025 to 2026 academic year. Schools must also demonstrate that there is a local demand for nursery places and that the project aligns with local authority plans for childcare provision. Schools collaborating with private, voluntary or independent providers or childminders may also apply, but the nursery must be located on the school premises. A lot of schools may not have the expertise of running a nursery, so if you are a private provider, you could offer your services to the school and let them know that you'll be willing to open a nursery on their premises to help them and the local authority to meet this increased demand. Those schools will need to consult with the local authority to ensure that the nursery aligns with the local childcare needs. So what funding is available? Schools can apply for up to £150,000 of capital funding. The grant can only be used for capital expenditures such as renovations or upgrades of surplus school space to accommodate the nursery provision, purchasing essential nursery equipment, upgrading facilities to meet safety and accessibility standards, improving indoor and outdoor play areas for the nursery, and technical advisor fees and survey costs. However, there are some restrictions of what the grant can cover. The grant cannot be used to cover operational costs, including things like salaries for nursery staff or teachers, utility bills like electricity, water or heating, offset registration fees, or general nursery supplies like books and teaching materials, or routine maintenance of school buildings. Schools must ensure that they have the resources to cover the ongoing operational costs once the nursery is up and running, as the grant will not provide funds for the day-to-day expenses. Some important key dates and timelines is that the application deadline for the school-based nursery capital grant is December the 19th, 2024. Schools need to submit all supporting documents and their application before this deadline. Projects must also aim to be completed by the 2025 to 2026 academic year, and all capital works funded by the grant must be completed by March the 31st, 2027. If the school cannot meet these deadlines, then the government reserves the right to recover the grant. So why was the grant introduced? This grant was introduced as part of the government's strategy to increase nursery places in England. In September 2025, all parents with children aged 9 months and older will be entitled to 30 hours funding. This inevitably will lead to a dramatic increase in the number of children wanting to attend nursery or other early years provision. At the moment, nurseries will already be seeing an increase in demand, though this demand will continue to increase with an estimated 85,000 more childcare places needed by September 2025. The government's hopes with this initiative is that by using surplus space in primary schools, that this will help to address the shortage of affordable childcare options in certain places. This initiative aims to create new opportunities for early childhood education, especially in areas where existing nursery provision is limited or in high demand. However, it is essential to note that the grant is exclusively for state-funded primary schools and doesn't apply to private nurseries or independent early years providers. This limitation could create concerns for private nursery owners who may see increased competition from expanded school-based nursery provisions. Though this initiative is only set to create an additional 3,000 nursery places, a long way off the required 85,000. So, in spite of this initiative, private and independent early providers will still likely see an increase in demand and should have no real little cause for concern. Schools interested in applying for this grant must meet the eligibility criteria and submit the application through the online application service provided by the Department for Education. Before applying, schools need to ensure they're consulted with the local authority and that the proposal aligns with local childcare needs. They need to confirm that the necessary permissions from freehold landowners or the local planning authorities have been secured if they are needed, and they need to be prepared to submit all the required documents, including floor plans, photographs of the affected areas, cost breakdowns, and quotes from contractors. This application process will be competitive, and only schools that can demonstrate a clear need for the nursery expansion and the ability to deliver the project within the required time frame will be successful. Schools applying for the grant must be aware of the potential risks and responsibility that come with managing the capital grant. Some of these risks include unexpected costs that go beyond the grant limit of 150,000, delays in obtaining planning permissions or approvals, issues with contractors or technical advisors, and challenges in recruiting qualified early years staff for the expanded nursery provision. Schools must plan their project carefully to avoid any unforeseen issues that could impact the success of the project. It is essential to have a clear understanding of the budget, timeline, and required resources before submitting the application. The school-based nursery capital grant provides an opportunity for state-funded schools to expand their nursery provision. However, it is limited to the capital costs and excludes operational funding. So schools must have the necessary resources, knowledge, and experience to maintain the nursery spaces once they are operational. If your school is considering applying, make sure you read the full eligibility criteria, consult with your local authority, and prepare your application before the deadline of the 19th of December 2024. For private nurseries and other independent providers, it is important to stay informed about how these developments may affect your local childcare landscape. Why not consider contacting your local schools and seeing if they have any plans to expand or create their own nursery? If they don't, you can propose to create one on their premises for them, providing you an opportunity to expand your current nursery or to start a new one. Plus, as I mentioned, the demand for childcare will dramatically increase by September 2025. This initiative will only reach less than 5% of the increased demand. Therefore, it is likely that the government will introduce more things like this or face a scenario next year where parents won't be able to find places for their children, with nurseries likely to have long waiting lists. If the government do introduce any new initiatives, I will post about them here on this channel, so make sure you subscribe so that you can hear about them early enough so that you can apply for them. Thousands of new childcare providers will be needed by September 2025 in order to meet the demand. You could help meet this need. If you have any plans of opening a nursery, then I can help you. There's never been a better and more needed time for you to do so. Just check out the website opennursery.co.uk to see how I can help you. On there, I offer consultations, mentorship, courses, and documents, all to help you to open your own nursery. So head over there to learn more. Just click the link here to go straight there. Though before you go, if you find this information useful, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with anyone who you think could benefit from hearing about the school-based nursery capital grant. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to hearing from you. God bless.